It seems like you're trying to explain the concept of pre-increment and post-increment operators in C. Let's delve a bit deeper into this topic. Could you explain the difference between using the pre-increment and post-increment operators in C with respect to their side effects and applications in Linux device driver programming?
Yeah, I use in pre-increment, post-increment in Linux device development. In detail explanation while I using pre-increment and post-increment in Linux device drivers, it is temporary. Safer. It will be. I am using in temporary copies in post-increment. In this post-increment requires storing the old values to return it before incrementing. This can lead to extra instructions or temporary objects, especially for non-preemptive types in kernel space or development where performance and memory will be critical. This matters. In second point, safer and more efficient pre-increment. Avoid temporary object creation. Clear intention of pre-increment first, then use. Prefer in most Linux kernel its list traversal macros and pointer arithmetic. In third point, readability and maintenance.
It seems like you have some familiarity with pre and post increment usage in Linux device development. Let's delve deeper into this topic. Can you explain the difference between pre increment and post increment operators in C programming within the context of kernel module development? How can their usage impact performance and memory management in kernel space?
Yeah, we talk about pre-increment for post-increment. In the name's sense, pre-increment will be incremented first. In post-increment, value will be incremented last. While you using both in Linux kernel development, we use we use some situations like memory and performance overhead, instruction efficiency, and we also use code clarity and predictability and impact on synchronization.
The explanation provided touches on some aspects of pre increment and post increment operators. Let's dive deeper into a related concept. Can you explain the significance of using exit codes in shell scripting and how they can be utilized effectively in error handling scenarios?
Yeah, I will explain that it will be shell developing scripting the shell scripting is a good concept in Linux. It will be it is a toughest and good experience while for the every developer in embedded role. We also use post increment pre increment operators in shell scripting. Developing shell scripting is a toughest situation ever faced the engineer in the as a fresher. As a 3 years of experience, it will be faced tougher in shell scripting while using post increment and pre increment, and also you the fundamental of our robust HL.
It seems like there was some confusion in your explanation. No worries. It's okay to skip if you're unsure. Can you briefly explain what a makefile is and its primary purpose in software development?
Yeah, I will explain Makefile primary purpose in software development. When you talk about Makefile in briefly, we can say that we can say when we can say briefly about Makefile, the compiler is running in Windows 11. The Makefile is about when you use concept of Makefile, is Makefile is developing the head, developing the header file when while developing the file for the header files or something we can store microcontroller, we can store local variables and macros and comment. We can also define macro comments and all things in Makefile.
Thank you for participating in this interview. It was great learning about your skills and insights. We'll review your responses and get back to you soon. Have a wonderful day.